Hey everyone, Nathan from Lemonade. I hope you're well. Today I am with Wayne Donnelly. Wayne has a really unique product. He supports men going through divorce and he supports them emotionally. And so it's a really unique services, especially in this day and age. So Wayne, how did you get into this brilliant service?
Well, my own history, I used to be in corporate finance. So as an accountant and then later on as a financial planner and running financial planning firms. But in 2005, something significant hit me, and that was a surfboat rowing accident where I injured my L4, L5, and I was looking at becoming a paraplegic.
Right.
And the surgery saved me
Mm.
because I can still walk and function and so on. And after the surgery, uh, because it's major surgery, it
Mm.
takes 3 years for the nerves to heal.
Wow.
And a couple of weeks after the surgery, I just fell into a slump and it was just going downhill. My surgeon said it was post-operative, post-surgical depression.
Okay.
And I was getting to that point where I was starting to take more painkillers, drink more alcohol, start reflecting on negative events. Like a couple of years earlier, I'd gone through divorce. My dad died within a couple of weeks of our separation.
Wow.
So I kept looking at a whole lot of stuff, and a common one is, you don't see the kids as often.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole lot of stuff goes on there in your mind.
Mm.
And 4 or 5 months after surgery, I was popping like a box of Panadine Ford every day, 20 tablets, and then
Wow,
washing
that's
them
massive.
down with a six-pack of bourbon and Coke.
Mm-hmm.
So and then not having very good communications with my ex-wife. So it was basically, you'd get on the phone and it was the first one to reach. Well, F off.
Yeah.
So I got to the October long weekend and couldn't find any more Panadine Forts, but I'd found a box of opioids that I just had lying around. So I took a box of those and got pretty high. But then you have the slump.
Mm-hmm.
And just for a week, I took the phone off the hook, or turned off my phone, shut the curtains, pulled the sheets up, and no one knew where I was for a week.
Okay.
And I thought, better go back to work. So the following Monday, got up, got dressed, drove to the Skillion at Terrigal and went to jump off. And I was standing there on the edge and I hopped over the safety fence, got to the edge, just, looking at the water and thought, that's it. And my best mate rang. I pulled out the phone and I had to think about whether I'd answer the phone or I'd jump.
Yeah.
Anyway, after that, I got referred to, obviously, I answered the phone. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So I got referred, first of all, because my best mate was a GP. He referred me to a psych,
Mm-hmm.
who referred me to a counsellor, who referred me to another guy, because no one knew what to do with me. And I got referred to a counsellor, but his focus was hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming.
Okay.
So he was really working on the mind.
Mm.
And in a number of sessions, half a dozen sessions, he had me embracing life instead of trying to end it.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Such a significant change.
Yeah, and that's really powerful, that NLP stuff.
Oh, hugely. So that was second half of 2005, beginning of 2006. Every now and again, you'd go for a top up because things were still, every now and again, something would whack me out of alignment.
Yeah.
And it's retraining your brain,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So anyway, we ended up running a financial planning firm, and at the end of 2008, we knew what happened. GFC comes along. And here's a great learning that instead of being made redundant, my future was freed up for new opportunities. Because when you use the right language, you see different things.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, what am I going to do now? I've done with corporate. I'm 49. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
So I went to a life coach, and we looked back on my experience with I just explained, And she said, look, and we worked through it. Oh, yeah, I thought I want to do this. And what's the reason? Why? And the mission is to help other men the way I'd been helped.
Yeah.
So did my studies in NLP and clinical hypnotherapy, did business coaching for a couple of years. I've been doing therapy since then. And the funny thing is, I've been avoiding men and depression for a long time, and in the last year, it's sort of driving me into that niche where I said, "Yeah, this is the time." Like I've been doing this for 13 years now, and I've a lot of experience, a lot of water under the bridge, and when you see like there's almost an epidemic of suicide, and depression, and now I was just reading it on one of the Facebook groups about a guy wanting to do himself in, and a friend of mine who's a counsellor just talked a guy out of it yesterday. It's shocking. I think it's about 8 men a day in Australia.
Yeah. So the stat that I've been told, there's a couple of stats I've got for suicide. We don't even make a minute in the world without someone suiciding globally.
Yeah.
Every 40 seconds, someone is suiciding. And of all of those suicides, actually 85% of people are business owners, which is, I found that stat shocking myself. But really what hurts the hardest, I guess, from my point of view, is the fact that we don't even make 1 minute without someone suiciding in the world. That hurts. That's a lot of people every day.
It is, and it's sad. And the thing for me when I look back is I didn't know what resources were available to help me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know the resources I had inside.
Yeah.
The strengths that are there that you do not see, that you cut out because your focus is I've got to get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really, really despairing.
Yeah.
And to be able to help someone change, to get them out of depression, off the grog, because alcohol and depression they go together, because alcohol doesn't really lift you up.
Yeah.
So it's quite a privilege to be able to help someone change their mindset so they can see the world differently, and they don't do something stupid and just leave behind a trail of destruction and emotionally damaged people who love them, who would have helped.
Had they known, really, had they spoken to someone and found that help that they really need.
Yeah.
So what sort of, obviously it's divorced men that you're helping. So what sort of programs or techniques are you using to help them?
Oh, I've got a program. Base program goes for 6 sessions, 6 weeks, where first of all, like before I even do the program, I want to talk to people and find out where are they now, so that they can see with greater clarity what's possible.
Yeah.
Because there's usually a huge gap between where they are now, sitting in stress, anxiety, depression, alcoholism, drugs, whatever it is, and there's this place they want to get to, this person they want to be, but they don't know how to bridge the gap. So the first thing is to talk to them just in a scoping session to help them to see that there is a way to bridge that gap, that it is possible. That's the big thing. It is possible. And then after that, we go through a process of, getting you attached to what you want emotionally.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, they don't have what they want because they're focused on what they don't want. They don't want to be depressed. They don't want to be all the things they don't want to be. That's where their focus is. Yeah. And the old saying, you get more of what you focus on.
Exactly.
So we have to start embedding in their mind the goal. So the unconscious mind can start figuring out the direction of how to get there. So once we got this emotional charge on what you want, then we can start breaking things down. Then we go to shocking the unconscious mind, because the behavior that's being demonstrated is the behavior to cope with what's going on.
Mm.
Um, a lot of stuff will go back to childhood. There's a whole range of things. But we dig deep and get them out of that. We go to look at rearranging their internal values,
Okay.
because our values and beliefs are what drive us. If we believe that there's no way out, well, we're going to go down here. If we believe it's possible, then we can start working on making this a strong belief and also putting it up into the hierarchy of values. So if I said to you, look, what are the 6 most important things for you in business? You rattle off a list of things. But if those 6 values are not in alignment with a successful business, you're probably not going to make it.
Yeah.
So we look at that. Then we're drilling in the new identity. So we want to take off this identity that they've had of whatever it is. I mean, for me, it was failure, shame, a whole range of things that prevented me from opening up to what's possible. So we need to work with that, work with any trauma that's come through, because the trauma will hold us back, whether it's the trauma of the separation or the divorce, or we go back even further. Was it mum and dad's separation?
Yeah.
Was it a redundancy earlier in life? Was it some sort of rejection at school? I mean, you just drill down until we get to the foundation, rip the foundation out of that program that's running in the mind, and then install a new program without going too much deeper. So it's all there, and then making sure that before we finish, we have an action plan. So, and with an action plan, we're going out 3 years and working backwards, because when you go try to work forward on a plan, you could go off in different directions.
Yeah.
So it's like Steve Covey used to say, begin with the end in mind and work backwards from that, because everything out there, there's a step before it, a step before it, a step before it, until we get here. And then your unconscious mind can go, hey, that's where you want to go, and that's what you want to do. And we can start working on that.
Right. Yeah.
That's the starting place.
Yeah. And so when you're talking about values before, and I think I want to go back to that, if your life's changed and been turned upside down, then your values may change as well. So if your life's changed and you're going through a separation, you're not seeing your kids as much, which is really hard for men. Going through that nuclear family, like for me, so when I got divorced from my first wife, seeing my 2 sons, not seeing them every week, and having to drive, between 2.5 or 7 hours each way to see them, that was a tough gig. That was really tough. And so my values, I know, sort of changed a little bit because they weren't next to me all the time. Not that I don't love them, I do. But obviously how I communicate with them changed radically, as well as how often I saw them, that also changed radically. And so life was very different. So what I valued also sort of had to change, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I know, it's such a challenging thing. So to be a great dad, still available, still loving, and then you're running a business as well. So you've got to be seeing clients. There's so many challenges there, and you have to find a way to overcome them. That's going to be supporting both goals. Or like if you're 7 hours away, you just pull up and move to follow the kids. I mean,
and that is exactly what happened at one point. I did move, and then when I've got no support here, like I don't have my family here. My ex couldn't care if I was there or not, and so even though I got to see my kids sort of, every second weekend, I was really, really lonely actually, as dad, trying to support my kids, trying to do the right thing, and be the dad that I wanted to be, and
Yeah.
that's what kids deserved. So there, yeah, that became challenging. And I think the other thing that's really challenging for men that you might want to speak to is, I guess what I call, when you're in a divorce and you really hate each other, you start trying to, you don't consciously do this, but you do at times use the kids as weapons. And I think from my point of view, when I got divorced, I tried not to do that, to the point where, but when they knew they came to dad, we were going to have a great time. But when they went to mum, it was boring as hell. It was mundane, normal life.
Oh, it's a real mix. And then being adversaries in the legal system only benefits the solicitors.
Correct.
And just, the meter keeps ticking and ticking, and the more games that are played by either party just makes the bill more expensive for both parties.
Exactly.
And sucks out what you could have in a settlement.
Yeah.
So mediation plays a huge role. You were talking about that with me the other day.
Yeah.
You're coming into an approach like you've really got to change. Would you benefit from changing the view of your ex-partner as an adversary? Because you can, then it cuts the communications, cuts access to the kids, cuts out understanding, because both of you have separated because of the things, the perceptions that you have about the relationship and each other, and the beliefs that you've developed. And once upon a time, you did love this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you loved them and you had children with them and so on. And then now that's not there. So how do you treat it as an adult? So, we've got to cut off what we've seen our parents and our friends do. And we're going to say, how do we approach this as adults? The focus has got to be the kids. We want it fair and equitable, but sometimes fair and equitable for some people is everything.
Yes.
You have nothing, I should have everything. So that takes a lot of grown up attitude, and that maturity is not available to everyone, because if we come back to one of the basics of all our problems is self-image. The way we communicate to ourselves and the conditioning that we've had. And whether what level we're at. Are we a victim and a rescuer? And the funny thing is they're both victims, because one has to have the other to exist. So it's about becoming the observer and rising above the situation. And one of the things I work on getting people into the mindset of is to have mastery. And when I talk about mastery, I'm talking about the ability to be in control of your emotions regardless of the situation. You've only got a couple of dollars in your wallet. If maybe you're sleeping in your car, it's your mindset. How can you reframe this? How can you change the way you look at it so what you look at changes? That's Wayne Dyer saying. And if we come back into mastery, and we can deal with it without all the emotion and the hoo-ha, we're going to get through it a lot more sanely.
Yes. Yeah. And I completely agree with that. I think changing the way that you look at your ex-partner despite the hurt, I think that's something that I did, and that really did change, our relationship. So look, what are 3 tips you can give men that are going through divorce right now?
Right now. 3. Okay. I think you really have to sit down, think about what do you really want, because the cost of what you about to do, if you haven't decided yet, or if you're starting to go through it, the cost is not only financial,
Mm-hmm.
it's emotional,
Mm-hmm.
it impacts the children.
Yep.
I wish I'd had someone to help me when I went through it. I just got to the end because there was a lot of things going on in our lives, and I wish we'd had more people being able to help us and to talk more. So, yeah, really think about what it is you do want rather than what you don't want.
Yep.
Because you may find that what you want is really here. Prevention's better than cure. So that's tip one. Tip two is look after, love and be kind to yourself. Rather than beat yourself up, which is depending on whether you're the one leaving or the one being left. You still have to control your emotions. And some people think, oh, that's too hard. Well, if that's what you believe, because you just haven't been trained to be able to maintain control. So important. And three, well, it's just put the kids first. Everything. Because those little minds, especially the first 7 years, are wide open, and everything that you're doing is having such a lifetime impact on them. And then even like that's called the imprint period, because everything they see, wham, straight into the unconscious mind and the programs they run for life. And then from 7 to 14, it's role modeling. Who are my role models, and how do I copy my role models? And even from 14 to 21, socializing. Like, okay, I've got my programs from the first 7 years, then I've got this role modeling. How do I fit into this life? Who am I that fits in with the rest of the world? So we've got to look after those little minds. Very, very much so. So what do you want? Really figure that out, because that's a big path. And look after your own mind and your own, your mental health, and then make sure those kids are okay. Make sure that you're not doing, between you and your ex, you're not damaging those precious little minds.
And especially when you say know what you want, also I think be I guess a little bit objective and sort of think, does it really matter if I have an argument about something that costs $5,000 or $10,000? Like if I just let her have it, I might be saving myself $40,000 in legal costs.
Yes.
And so when you say, what do you want? I think there's also got to be that little bit of flexibility of, well, look, I can go buy another PS5 or whatever else she wants to take. Just give it and move on. So look, for people that want to connect with you, how do they do it?
Just simply, you can email me, hello at waynedonnelly.com. And the spelling you can see just behind me there. And or just give me a phone call, 0416 929 636, which is also 0416 Wayno. Because when I got the number, I got it so the kids could remember what my phone number was.
Awesome. Well, look, thanks for spending some time with us. I know that you are touching men's lives like nobody else that I know. This is such a great service that you provide. And so if you are struggling, if you're a man that is struggling through divorce, reach out to Wayno. Don't suffer in silence. So thanks for your time, Wayne. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Nathan, for your time.
No problem. And everyone, I hope you're having a great day. If you can send this out to all your networks, if you're coming across people that are struggling, we're here to help. So there are resources for people that need that help. So thanks.
Thank you.